as the chair today, he's going to introduce the mayor.
This is one of the funniest things I've ever had to do in my life. I've got this, list of his accomplishments since elementary school, all through a businessman, a city councilor, and now mayor. I don't need to do any of that. It was my pleasure to introduce to you the Honorable Christian Dumais, Mayor of Marlborough. Welcome to the Rotary Club.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are also very kind. I appreciate that. I apologize for the delay. I was actually with a fellow Rotarian, Councillor Vital. We did a ribbon cutting at Marlborough Pharmacy. So just kind of keeping my face out there and saying hello and doing the whole ribbon cutting. And it's a Brazilian owner, and she's now opening up a pharmacy on the other side of town, which is always great to see new business and economic growth. So I just did a few things. I don't know how formal you want me to be, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions if you have any. I'm only like 40 days in, so please be kind with your questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll make sure that we get back to you about those questions. But so I just want to thank Heather for being such an incredible president and inviting me here and all of your time. So I can't believe it's been a month. It's been the quickest but the longest month ever in my life. But I often reflect about how incredibly important this job is and how amazing it is. So just a few things that I've been doing last month. I was able to tour 3 schools. There will be more to come. So I went to Richer School, the middle school, and Jarrick School, just so we can get an understanding of what the space entails. So we have severe overcrowding in the school systems. So it's great to see that firsthand, how they have copiers and printers in the hallways, libraries in the hallways, books and different things like that. So to see that firsthand, it really was a wide, eye-opening experience. We can talk about the space and how limited it is, but to actually be there and be present, kind of build the morale up with the teachers. So I'm listening, I'm aware of the situation, and the response has been great. And anytime you can run around with the elementary school kids and give them high fives and tie their shoes, it really makes for an incredible day, and they're all excited for the mayor to be there, and I don't know why I do air quotes. I am the mayor. Again, it still has not affected. Like, I literally pinch myself every time I go into the office, because again, it is such an incredible job. Like, I am one of 44 people that got to be the mayor of this incredible city, and I don't take that lightly. But going back to the schools, like, the kids are so excited, and they're like, "Oh my God, the mayor!" And they go home and tell their parents, and like, that's the kind of positivity that we need. I was able to do the MEDC podcast yesterday, and I think we talked a lot about that positivity and what Marlborough has and how to showcase that positivity. I think, honestly, that is why I was elected, is to bring that light, because Marlborough has so much to offer. This group here, especially, like, you guys give all the time. That's the environment that Marlborough is all about. I mean, you guys show up here week after week, committed to the cause. There's so many people like that in this city regarding different departments, school teachers, rec department, DPW. They all literally every day make this city run, and we don't showcase that enough, and I think that's why I was elected to do that, is to showcase these businesses, showcase the trails in Marlborough, and all that positive, and roll out that information of all the wonderful things that so many different organizations do. So that's what we've been kind of working on, is gearing that up. Councilor Oram can attest that we have in the City Council right now, we have a redesigned website. So hopefully we can get that up and running, and literally from soup to bolts to get that going. Our website's very clunky, it's very outdated. Councilor Oram will see on the agenda for today that we want to hire a communications director so we can get the information out there to the residents of what's going on, whether it's alerts regarding water main breaks, leaf pickup, snow bans, really dynamic newsletter that's going to come out. We have our first one coming out. When is that going to come? Monday. Yeah, I'm going to hold him to that. So Ryan is my chief of staff. He is the one who literally keeps me going night and day. he's been here before. He was my campaign manager. He's the one who got me here. I'm forever indebted, or I want to kill him depending on the day. Again, it's surrounding yourself with quality, competent people, and Ryan is that person, and I'm thankful for that. So the website's already down to City Council. Hopefully communications director will come through. And again, just to talk about that, we don't have an Instagram for the city. We don't have a WhatsApp for the Brazilian population who utilize that. The person that we have in mind actually does speak Portuguese, so we already have someone waiting for that position. So it's one of these things that Marlborough is very far behind when it comes to information and utilizing the proper technology. So again, having someone who is early 40s and understands that technology and surrounds themselves with people who can effectively utilize that. And the big goal is to showcase obviously great organizations like the Rotary Club or the Junior Women's Club or the Lions Club. Those organizations help keep Marlborough running, like the car show with the Masons, like all those beautiful things are not showcased. And if we can post that on our website, we went to countless events during the campaign and everyone's asking, hey, I didn't know about that. Why? Well, because we don't have the tools set up for that. And I think now once being in this, I have the power and the means and a great rapport with the council where I can express to them, hey, this is what is needed. And I think they realize that as well. So I'm excited to work with the council on that. A few other things. We have, like I said, the newsletter is going out. So if you don't get the newsletter currently, the previous administration had one, but it wasn't consistent. On the mayor's page of the website, you can actually sign up for the newsletter, so you can get that information as well. We have a survey going on, so during the transition of being elected and being sworn in, we have a transition team that I know that a few people that are in this room took part of that, and part of that was to do a survey as well of what's going on in Marlborough. It's a very constructive criticism of the city. It's not something where you say, I need to fix my potholes or things of that nature. It's more than that. There's a different avenue for that. It's, do you have kids in the school system? What could be better? What do you love about Marlborough? What is your vision of Marlborough in the next 5 to 10 years? It's literally your voice being told to my administration so we can hear you loud and clear of what you want to do. Do you want the buildings to happen? How do you want us to receive information? All of that is in there. Do you want to be on a board and commission? It's a way for an opportunity for you to get involved and have your voices heard. So I encourage you, it's right on the main website. I encourage all of you to share that on Facebook and social media pages. The more information and the more data we can collect, the better my administration can be. And I said this throughout the campaign that if I don't know what's going on, I can't help it or fix it. And most of the best ideas come from people sitting in this room, and I always say that I'm never going to be the smartest person in the room, but I'm willing to listen, and I think that's the difference between my administration and the years past, is listening and understanding and being effective behind what I've heard. So if we don't have that avenue, then there's no point in me standing here in front of you. We also plan on doing 4 town hall meetings, so you can get directly from the horse's mouth of what's going on and ask direct questions. So that's in the works as well. Am I boring you yet? Because it seems pretty busy, Yeah, the West Side Fire Station obviously was near and dear to my heart during the campaign, so we're already working with the fire chief to put names in together so we can get that going. Main Street Working Group, we're working on that so we get local business owners and people in the community to revitalize Main Street, because that's extremely important. Growing up downtown and seeing Main Street, and it's not as great as what it can be. We want to include both a Hispanic and Latin and Brazilian affairs so we can get those communities together so they have a whole different set of issues and concerns that are not being addressed at all. Heather, who is my executive administrator, she actually does speak Spanish, so we already have someone in the office who is bilingual, and again, once hopefully that communications director who does speak Portuguese, so we'll have both Portuguese and Spanish directly in the mayor's office. I know Heather was instrumental just this week alone when someone wanted to get married and they do not speak Spanish, so she went down to the city clerk. So there is someone in City Hall who can advocate for them. So that's fun. Labor Day parade and festival. So we want to make that bigger and better. So we're working with an events coordinator. Hopefully that will come to light as well. That's further down the, and then obviously the dog park, which has obviously been a huge hot button issue. We need one. We don't have one, and trying to cement that in the location. So I'm working with the rec department and DPW on how we can get that up and running. Last week I rode on the MWRTA, which is the bus here in Marlborough. So I hopped on the bus with a wonderful shiny little vest. And then we took it down Main Street and all the way to the mall. And we need to kind of reconfigure the routes so it makes sense for Marlborough, so people can have public transportation that's adequate. And it just doesn't make sense, the route that it is and the locations. There's 2 on Main Street. I don't understand why. So you have to drive down to Main Street to hop on the bus to go where you need to go. So we're looking at different places that obviously need transportation, and they're willing to work with us. And how do we get that up and running? We already pay for the service, so how do we maximize that? They just announced on February 4th that they now are on Sunday, so there's a route on Sunday. But again, no one knows that, so the information isn't there. So we'll be rolling out some programs and working on that, so people have adequate transportation so they can get around town. For seniors in the room, I'm not naming any names, but the senior center on February 24th, I believe, there'll be chat and chew with me. So we'll be providing breakfast and a way for seniors to talk about their concerns. So we'll be doing that every other month or pretty regularly, so they have direct access so they can express their concerns. We're working on the SCRIPT program, which is a tax write-off for their property taxes, so seniors can work 100 hours. So the program already exists, so we want to make sure that the seniors have access to that. So we're starting that a little bit earlier and hopefully make it a little bit of a longer program so there's more seniors that can sign up. So we'll be talking to department heads about what program and what job works for them, and kind of match the skill set with the actual job and the senior. I think that's kind of about it. I just went like rapid fire to you because that's kind of how my life is. Again, I don't think it's not too bad in 30 days. But yeah, other than that, it's just trying to continue. I mean, the campaign was pretty grueling, and we kind of haven't stopped. We still do the Small Business Saturday. If you guys have been watching the campaign, we were just at Firefly, so we'll continue to do that. And just kind of showcase things in all things Marlborough, working with conservation. And now the next thing is working with the trails. We have over 50 miles of trails in Marlborough that you have access to, which I don't think you realize. Neither did I. There's one trail that's 26.2 miles long. It's a big loop, which is exactly my point. It's a marathon. It's called the Panther Loop. It's right here in Marlborough. So I'll be getting my hiking boots on, and we'll be showcasing some trails. And if you want to come, So again, it's finding these little things in Marlborough that only certain pockets seem to know about. Like you can rent a kayak for free if you live in Marlborough, right here on the lake, and you can go and go on a hike, go on a kayak or a canoe. Like you can do snowshoes for free with the rec department. So like all these little nuances, like that's the thing that needs to be showcased in Marlborough. If I have the power to do that, that's what needs to happen. It's about getting that information and providing that communication tool to make more livable of Marlborough. Like we offer a lot of services here in Marlborough, and the tax rate's pretty low. And if we can capitalize on that with all these things that are already being done and make Marlborough even a better place and a more community driven, like how cool would it be? Like, hey, let's go for a kayak today, and kind of just walk around and paddle in the beautiful lake. I know there's a lot of heat about the boardwalk that's on Lake Williams, but I'm extremely excited about that. Not because I have to be because I'm the mayor, but because I want to be. I think it is pretty cool, and I tell people I can't wait to frolic through it, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sunset, and I keep stressing that, how incredible it will be to walk on the boardwalk during the sunset. It's not open till this spring, so we'll be announcing that date, kind of a date in mind, but again, it'll be weather permitting. But again, just to walk on that during the sunset, like how romantic is that be? I'm a hopeless romantic, so to have in all my free time, I I have plenty of time to date. It's non-existent. So I'll be walking alone with a beautiful sunset, which is fine. Me and my selfies. Look at the sunset. But it's good. Though I believe there'll be no dogs. No dogs. Yeah.
We were having a discussion yesterday about the fact that it was like we went to bed one night and then it just appeared there. And then,
that's a long sleep. Because it took a little while.
No, but walking the dog though would damage the water, the treated water, I guess. If you're walking the dog, there's a little bit of they do their thing and whatever. So I don't know what they would do. And also they were concerned about parking, if there's enough parking.
Correct. We are looking at that. So yeah, I can't comment on certain things, but that is being addressed here.
Mr. Mayor?
So, yeah. Yes, sir.
First say, it was so nice to go up to the 4th floor where the mayor's office is to see such smiling faces and welcoming to a city councilor. Now, I take polls every so often, and one question was already answered about how to become a board member or how to get appointed. So you answered that, but I have 2 other questions. We're right across from the landfill, and when I sit down here, we get questions, what's going on there, if you could touch on that a little bit. And the other one is the immigration population, what the Board of Health's doing and how we're helping them out and so forth. You can touch on that, but one last question.
I think that's 3 now. You said 2.
Don't worry, I'll remember how to add that budget time. But no, hopefully that last question's the easiest. Hopefully Thursday afternoon we meet here at the Rotary Club, and I've asked you this before. Maybe you or one of your staff members could open up their Thursday, maybe twice a month, maybe once a month, to become a Rotarian. Hopefully you can answer that one as well.
Are you apologizing for Councilor Orem? Yeah. I'm glad someone's apologizing for him. Someone I know. It's been on my radar, honestly, and that's not a political answer. The fish and game application's also been on my desk as well to join. So again, I think it's extremely important for the mayor to be involved in all these different organizations.
Wait, you were Ryan could come.
Yeah. Ryan, you're being... We know where you live. You know that, right? So I already forgot the question. So the landfill. So the landfill is being capped. So there'll be a field, ideally, but it's not like a soccer field or it's just like a big open field. So we're going to figure out what the usage is for that. There's been talk, or my thought process could be the dog park. I'm not committing to that. I think parking would be an issue. That's the only thing. I want to make sure there's enough adequate parking for the dog. And we actually have to take a tour of this space to see how big it is and what it can be utilized for. That was with the prior administration. Now it's up to me to figure that out. It's not the highest priority on my list because I know that we just have to cap it first, and they're working on that, and then we can figure out what the next phase is with that. As far as, I believe, the migrant or immigrant? 2 separate. Migrant, okay. So the migrants are still in Holiday Inn, or the former Holiday Inn. I don't. So there's probably about 500 people there. It's considered a shelter. But we've been meeting with them. We went with them, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, so it's now just trying to keep that dialogue open in regarding communication. I know during the beginning it was very difficult because there wasn't a lot of information and a lot of dialogue between the mayor's office and them and the state. Things are now kind of in a good groove with them where they're just kind of doing their own thing. I know that work visas have been issued by quite a bit of them. It was a pretty high percentage. I was actually shocked about that. So now I told them of different organizations where they can probably get jobs, like Ken's Foods, because they work 3 different shifts. So, but now it's transportation is an issue. So now they're working with that. So we have a great dialogue with them. We'll continue with that. And they're just kind of living their life like a neighbor. It's kind of, they're in our schools. So we did have some issues with the bus stop at the bottom of the hill. So we took care of that. So now the bus will go up the Holiday Inn driveway because it was causing issues on Route 20. So we were aware of that situation and kind of streamline that. But I mean, communication was very non-existent in the first half of the month. So we made sure to visit with them and just said, hey, we need to be good neighbors here. We need to know what's going on regarding police, fire, any incidents, just so we're well aware and what we can do to assist. But they pretty much are well stocked with things. You know, they get a lot of things from the state. So if you're looking to donate things, I would probably seek alternate people who are in need, just because they get SNAP benefits and WIC, and it is a family shelter, so there isn't like a single guy or it's all families that are there. So
they're getting vaccinated, correct?
they've all been vaccinated. They've all been into schools. Yeah. Yep. I mean, so that was during the very beginning. So like I said, they're all doing what they got to do, and now I think the next step is educating them the realness of living in the States and how to survive, you know, because again, it's a very cultural difference, you know, like, you know, and I think that's what the Elliott Group was talking about when we were there, because again, and I'm extremely compassionate, don't get me wrong, but I asked them, do you think that we are enabling them as the state, you know, because they are getting everything paid for. They have a roof over their head, they have a cell phone, they're getting a dry clean, you know, their clothes are being laundered. Like, that's not real life, you know, like, so I think in some ways we're doing a disservice, because now when they're out on their own, now they have to be responsible for their roof over their head, water, gas, utilities, internet, a phone, transportation, gas, like all of those things. So I think that's what they're kind of educating them to, like, okay, how do you budget? How do you, all those things that we should learn in home economics that we don't really learn anymore is what they're actually receiving. So how to budget and things of that nature. So Board had this kind of removed, and now it's kind of more the Elliott Group. But yes.
Do you think they'll be sending any more our way?
So if they have an empty room, someone fills it.
And this is to go on in perpetuity?
I hope not. That's what. And again, I don't mean to be disrespectful. Like, I don't want that. But the issue is the state doesn't have an answer, you know. And I think that's the difficulty part. So us as a municipality, we have to open up our arms and accept that on some level. And again, it's all of our tax dollars, because it's a state issue, you know, and we need to figure that out long term, because it's not sustainable. It's not, you know. But I as the mayor, my hands are tied, you know. So what we can do is just see what they need in regards and to support them and welcome them into our community, because now their kids are going to our school systems, and, you know, like, we can't have any more hate in this world. Like, we just, we can't, you know, and we have to look beyond that and kind of embrace them, because they're going through so much themselves, you know, like, there's a lot of tragedy and a lot of being a victim of being replaced, you know, and we have to accept that. Does that answer your question? Yes.
I can't do as well as Mark with multiple questions, but I've got a question and maybe a comment. The first question is, it's about the fire station. If you find a spot, okay, is funding currently available to build it? In other words, you know, this is what we, you know, have located. We've got the pretty much the plan and the finances to build it. That's the question.
So when do you find this?
Well, that brings me to my next thing. Melissa over here lives in a cute little home on East Dudley Street, and rumor is that she'd be willing to listen to offers from the city. It's just a rumor.
I was gonna say, how many acres does she have? We may be able to negotiate.
It's just a rumor.
Yes. We do have some money that is available for land acquisition regarding that. It's about $5 million, I believe. But yes, the schools, the elementary school, Goodnow Brothers went up because we were able to go through the state and get a huge chunk of that paid for by the state. We're in works again with the state to build another elementary school. So hopefully that will come to fruition as well, which will alleviate the tax burden for all the residents here. Unfortunately, there's no grants or anything out there for a fire station, so we would have to bond that out completely. But every development that is coming through City Council, I think they advocate for mitigation money to help alleviate the cost to offset that as well. And hopefully the council will continue that moving forward. So I know there was more than just that. Yeah. Let me go to the back first.
You mentioned, thanks for visiting us, Mayor. We're happy to listen to you. But you mentioned the word shelter, and it so happens that this Rotary Club has started a committee relating to a brick and mortar women's homeless shelter research here in Marlborough. And not really a question, but a request that we would love to have you join one of our bi-monthly, we have 2 meetings a month, so we can get some information from you and hear where your thoughts are relating to the homeless women.
Sure. Just let my office know when those dates are, and I'll be happy to attend. Yeah, and it's still so weird to say, have my office, have my people. Like that's like a year ago, I was scheduling appointments for my staff, and now I have people. Like keeps me humble. More.
The most surprising thing you've found so far in City Hall?
Hey, I got to go to the clock tower. That was pretty cool. Yeah. No, I didn't realize how much I signed my name. I signed my name a lot, which is pretty interesting. I like, how you doodle in like elementary school. I feel like I signed my name a lot. But I'm beyond thrilled of how many dedicated people there are that work at City Hall. They all want to set me and my administration up for success. I think I was surprised by that. I mean, I don't think anyone wants failure, obviously, because obviously my success is their success and vice versa. But I mean, for them to come out of the woodwork and say, hey, what can we do to help? Or, that to me was extremely surprising, but yeah.
I would like to add off of that, by the way, my husband works for the DPW here in Marlborough. So, you mentioned that you went around to some of the schools. Sure. Have you been around to all of those departments, and which one of those was most surprising?
So I'm not one to talk about what the good things that I do, but during the snowstorm, we dropped off some coffee and donuts to DPW on 2 different occasions. You asked the question, those are things that I don't like to publicly share, just because I don't do that for the recognition, but Jeff DeMacco did retire, so I went into his retirement as well. Chris White just retired as well. Both of them were a huge asset to the city. I missed Chris White's retirement party. I had a conference in Boston to attend to, but I let him know with a nice little letter. But I do make a point to pop in as much as I can. So yes, I could never forget DPW. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the revitalization or continued revitalization of downtown. Is there something, if you had one thing that you could accomplish in the downtown district, what would you be looking for?
Is money no object?
Let's something realistic. Something realistic. I'll take both. Money no object and something realistic.
Unrealistic would be to capitalize on the Walker Building. Realistic. I would love to see it be more pedestrian friendly, and a little bit more restaurants, but I like the idea of a bakery. I like the idea of like again, this is where nostalgia comes in, of like, like my childhood of growing up with a clothing store, but again, that's probably a little unrealistic as well. But my goal is just to create events downtown where people want to go downtown. That would be my realistic goal, and I think it will happen. Between the food truck festival that MEDC puts on and the car show that the Masons put on, those are 2 incredibly well-attended events, and I think they are so because they're the only 2 things that happen downtown. So I think if there are more events, then more people will come. We did the holidays. Well, I say we. The city did a holiday stroll this past December. was thrown together in 3 weeks. It was a hit. So we'll be capitalizing on that and making it bigger and better for next year. And I would love the home for the holidays with the tree lighting to be more grand and more spectacular. So we already have wonderful things in Marlborough. So how do we make those bigger and better, and more publicized, so people are like, oh wow, I love going to that, to build that community. And I think that's why the dog park, I'm allergic to dogs. Like I don't have one, like I'm allergic to them. But I see the bigger picture with the dog park because it brings that sense of community where people come together. You hear people finding love in dog parks or they're meeting friends, it's just another avenue where people can come together. And I love the idea of that, not necessarily the bringing a dog, but the idea of that, but that's what I'm all about, is that's why revitalizing Main Street is so important, because it brings people together.
Speaking of which, what's happening with that space that's next, the open space that's got the in downtown?
Yeah, Main Street. So yeah, that is still owned by the owner. So we've been trying to negotiate something regarding that. We're probably in litigation, so I can't comment too much about that. But it's definitely on my list to figure out. And I don't know what the end result will be, but it is a pretty big eyesore, and it shouldn't be downtown. But say it again.
Do you know what the stumbling block has been?
It's actually the parcel of land is for sale, so she has put it on the market. I will share, this is public knowledge, that she went in front of the council with a special permit, and that special permit has expired. So now all of that work of what she wanted to do will have to go back to city council to make that happen. So now it's just an empty parcel of land and without any permitting. So I was just looking at you, Mark. What would happen is that she would have to come back to the council, or whoever bought it would have to come back to the council and then redo all of that permitting. And I don't think it will be the appetite of the council to do what was proposed, but I can't speak for them. I don't know. I would love to see something there, but yeah, we were just kind of stuck for right now, but we're working our way through, so. It is, and it's unfortunate because I think the council at the time was very excited about the project. I think she was in over her head a little bit regarding the scope and the magnitude of the project. And unfortunately, now we are stuck with the aftermath, I guess, so to speak. But, yeah. No, thank you. That's it.